Qatar, one of the most vibrant and fastest developing nations in the world. But over the years, water and electricity consumption in the country has been increasing. Despite government efforts to reduce usage of both utilities, consumption jumped by an average of 11% in 2012. In fact, according to the Living Planet report produced by the World Wildlife Fund and the Global Footprint Network, among others, if every human being lived like the average Qatari, the Earth would need nearly 5 times more resources than it has. In addition to this, studies also reveal that Qatar is one of the countries with the highest carbon emissions per capita. These situations have given rise to a unique project in the country, the Green Building Experiment.
The main goals of this experiment, how we can reduce the consumption of power and how we can reduce the consumption of water. Also, the CO2 emission is one of the key parts that we would like to achieve.
The so-called passive house concept, which originated in Germany, will be adapted in the experiment.
It is known that this technology is used in Europe to reduce energy, especially in the winter where they consume more energy for heating their villas. So the challenge is we have to do the opposite here in Qatar, as we need to protect the building of having the heat entering the building, and the cooling which is spent as energy to cool this building should not go outside the building.
To demonstrate the benefits of the passive house concept, 2 villas were built side by side at Barwa city in Messemir. A conventional villa and the passive house villa, which is also known as Baytna.
So we've designed the 2 villas using the same geometry and orientation and layout and area, but they'll differ when they're being constructed in terms of one will be built to typical construction standards within the region and the other will be built to passive house standards.
Basically what we are concentrating in this project are the following: the saving in the air conditioning system, then the recycling and reuse of the water, then a power generation within the Baytna City Passive House. Then we are having a special irrigation system. Last and the most important is the construction of the building itself.
The idea of the passive house is that with a difference of 15 to 20% in terms of cost, the house would achieve significant reduction in energy consumption.
And to save energy, this is very important because, as you know, energy, if you save, for instance, 1,000 liter oil for cooling or gas for cooling, energy for cooling, it means you save 3 tons of CO2. It's a matter of the environmental protection.
And in order to achieve low energy consumption, insulation is one major area to look at. Hence, super insulation was used in Baytna.
Super insulation, as opposed to regular insulation. In the passive house, the insulation goes all over the house. So you have an envelope, which is practically sealing the house in. The second difference is the thickness. Normal insulation is a couple of centimeters thick, 3, 4, 5 centimeters. Here the insulation is 38 centimeters. So it's a very, very thick material, which grants good thermal isolation. What is very important here is to close it really airtight so that you have no thermal bridges, that you're not losing energy anywhere, that no heat or cold is getting out or getting in, which is not controlled.
The insulation foam is an expanded polystyrene board which achieve almost 30% less power consumption due to its fantastic characteristics of the insulation board in insulating and preventing the heat from coming inside the building.
As for the electricity, aside from Kahrama, a solar photovoltaic system will act as another source.
By using a solar photovoltaic system and solar water heater and all lighting fixture through energy saving bulb, we are saving at least 50% on the energy bill.
Have 2 houses that are next to each other that are ostensibly identical in construction, layout, etc., but it's the energy use is going to be completely different between the two. How do you measure the energy use? Without being able to measure things, you really are guessing. So with the metering and monitoring systems that have been installed as part of the project in both homes, we're able to do direct comparisons. And the direct comparison would be, for instance, the air conditioning energy. Water use is the same. We expect to see significant water use differences between the two houses.
We collect the black water from the passive house and we treat that to a very high quality, which can then be redistributed to be used throughout the WCs, within the residents, and also through the landscaping areas.
The terrain permavoid system was selected as a scientific partner for the conveyance and delivery of treated water from the passive house to a proportion of the irrigated land. The benefits include a vast reduction in water demand and volume due to irrigation of the traditional method of over-soil irrigation.
Also, there's no smells generated at all. It's the only sewage treatment system in the world that can do that, so you can have it in your back garden, your children can play quite happily without appearing any smells at all. There is zero or very minimal sludge removal. This has significant benefits from both a financial point of view and also from a traffic congestion point of view, which means you will not have the amount of tankers travelling the streets of Qatar and Doha giving congestion on the streets.
And the other thing that makes us very unique, and the difference between occupancy of the house, these two houses will be unoccupied for at least the first 6 months for testing, where we can actually really see how they thermally perform, how the air conditioning systems perform before we move people into the house.
Then the people come in, two families, completely untrained just have an everyday knowledge about sustainability, and certainly perhaps not a great deal of knowledge about how to run a sustainable building. And then after another 6 months, we will then take them to one side, train them, go through how the building could be operated, show them the results of their behaviour to date with where they're spending the water and energy, and then suggest improvements to them. And then for the remaining 6 months, we will then monitor how successful that training education has been with them, maybe going over certain aspects again, improving, etc. And that's one of the most important outcomes from the project.
Upon completion of the green building experiment, Barwa is hopeful that the passive house would become a tool in revolutionizing Qatar's green building industry.
We believe that for today and for our future, the more we save and consuming fuel and energy, the more it will last for us and for our future and our kids.